Just have a couple of announcements, then Don will kind of introduce what we're doing today, right?
Okay.
Okay. What's that? A couple of announcements. One is about the birth. Also, Brooke Halverson had her baby a week ago or 2 weeks ago, so she's a member of York. And last night, Ruth Erickson passed away, and she's a member of York too. That funeral will probably be on Wednesday at York at 11 o'clock. So it was Virgil Erickson's wife, so Ruth. So I got those two announcements. Oh, should I go ahead and make some other announcements?
Yeah.
Okay. So you have this, and you're wondering, what's this all about? All right. When we went to Denver, one of the things we saw Pastor John, and we were with him for 2 days. And this is not a picture of his van. Imagine this van without windows. He has kind of a panel truck type van. And so one day, he does the Adopt a Block program, and that's what we were doing with him. And so and you'll see pictures of that. We went from house to house, neighborhood to neighborhood, and kind of cleaned up neighborhoods and alleys. And you would just knock on a person's door and says, "You want us to help clean up your yard?" And they'd either say yes or no, and there we were cleaning up yards. And that's what he does. He's trying to change the whole neighborhood. I gotta tell you, the neighborhood that we went to was not a neighborhood. I grew up in Denver. The neighborhood we went to is not a neighborhood you ever go. We were told when I grew up, you never go to that part of town. That's the part of town we were in for 2 whole days. But he's changing it, block by block by block. He's helping change it. So his van is used to just haul lawnmowers and yard equipment and all that kind of stuff, and paintbrushes and all that. So that's one thing he does with his van. That's part of his ministry. Another thing he does with his ministry is he feeds people. So sometimes his van is just full of food. And he'll stop like at the library that we were at on a Friday, and he'll just pass out food. He takes names down and stuff, but he'll just pass out food. Another thing he does, and he also does these other things. He has a widow's pantry, and he has Totes of Hope. That's the food program he does. So that's his van, and imagine it's pure white. There's no words on it or anything. So I said, if you put some signs on there, people would kind of know what you're all about. So when you park and you're doing the Totes of Hope, you'd have that sign, Totes of Hope, and people know that's what it's about. And he says, yeah, that'd be cool, but every penny that comes in goes right to the mission. I don't have money for the signs. He said to do all the signs of all the things he wants to do, of all the things he uses his van for, to get all those magnetic signs, to take them off and put them back on, would be $500 for the whole set of signs. So he told us this on Wednesday at lunch after 2 days of being with him. So I said, you're going to get your $500 for your signs. All right? So I'm going back to Denver on vacation. I will see Pastor John, and I'm going to hand him a check for $500. I don't want it just to be my $500. So that's what these envelopes are for. I found the oldest, cruddiest envelopes we have at church. So we're not spending any money on envelopes. So put your donation in here, put it in the offering plate, and this is what will go to Pastor John. If you write a check, make it out to Good Samaritan Fund, because it'll come out of that fund. So this is the thing. So today or next Sunday or whatever, just do that. That'd be really cool. Use these envelopes, and that's how the $500 will get to $500 is going to get to Pastor John. I just don't want it to come totally out of my pocket, even though I made the pledge. Okay, so there's...
Well, you and I both kind of made the pledge.
Yeah, right. Don agreed to it.
I did. So the youth have already started the fund, and there's $60 in here.
Yay! All right. So very good. So that's my end. Then you got more, or should we just roll? Or?
Yeah, let's roll. It's going to be a full hour. Let's roll.
Okay. So we begin then with, the praise hymn, Jesus, we are gathered. Hymn 529, and we'll repeat that like, I don't know, as long as Marilyn wants to keep playing, we'll play it. It's a really short little hymn. 529. which means we're going a little out of order, but then I have to head off to the next church, so I won't be here for the whole service because we got to set up the next one. So I'll start. And I'm not going to tell you, we split up in like 3 different groups. Our group came, and there were like 70 of us total there or something like that. And so they split us all up to have us be with other kids and stuff like that. So Don and I and some of our kids were with one group, and Steiner was with, Tina was with another group, and then Marcia was with another group. Laura's mother was with another group. Steiner lady was with another group. I didn't have that written down. So they'll all tell you about the groups. So I'm just going to tell you one little piece about the group that we were with, and that is on Monday, we were at the Denver Rescue Mission, which is smack dab in downtown Denver, and it's right next to some major development that they're doing in downtown Denver. So it's pretty valuable property, and as one of the people said, you know, they're trying to buy us out. They want us really not to be there anymore because this major development is happening right a block away from the Denver Rescue Mission. And as we heard during the days we were there, that's pretty typical. Nobody really cares about homeless people. Nobody really cares about poor people. Nobody really cares about prisoners at all. So you can just get them out of your way. That's the cool thing. So it wasn't too surprising that people want to get them out of there. So the Denver Rescue Mission has a sign in front of it. It's a big cross that says Jesus Saves on the side, which is pretty neat. And then as Pastor John said a couple days later, he said, yeah, it's cool. So the irony is, you know, that cross saying Jesus Saves, and on that corner, probably more drugs are done on that corner than anywhere else in the state of Colorado. So, strange. So anyway, the mission can hold up to, one of the things the mission does is it holds homeless people overnight. And they can house 200 homeless people per night, which sounds like a lot until you realize there are 15,000 homeless people either in Denver or in Colorado. I can't remember which one. But there's 15,200 get to stay at the mission every night, and they do it by a lottery system. Housing is just one of the things they do at the mission. The other thing they do, the main thing they do, is try and get people out of being homeless and out of being in prison and turn their lives around. The big thing is no longer be addicted to drugs, don't be addicted to alcohol, be addicted to Jesus Christ. And that's really the way they all saw it. I mean, there's no gray issues for these guys. You're either addicted to drugs and alcohol or you're addicted to Christ. There's no middle ground at all. If you're not addicted to Christ, you just slip. You slip immediately into drugs and alcohol again. And the guys do that again and again and again. So we were in there, and the first guy we found was James, and he kind of helped us in the prep room of the kitchen. And James had been in prison at least a year and a half ago. He had been part of the mission thing for at least a year, and he's just about to complete, I think, step 2 to go to step 3. And it's not like 1 year you're in step 1, and 1 year you're in step 2. You just have to finish certain things, and you go to a different step. If you get all the way through step 5, you're guaranteed a car, a place to live, and a job. So that's what they're all working for. They're also working to clean up their lives. Lunch was quite the event. The homeless people kind of poured in. Andrea was in charge of making sure just 5 at a time would come in. I think Dan was helping you with that. So, and it was, it was homeless people, okay, they came in, mainly men, and some of them were not exactly sober when they came in, you can kind of tell that. They went through buckets and buckets of water. It was 90 degrees, so you just keep pouring buckets of water on their tables, and they would pour it into everything they could find, and they would just drink a lot of water. And mayonnaise was also a big hit. So, but our well-made yogurt surprise did not go over too well. They weren't into yogurt, but they were into mayonnaise and water, a lot of water. Okay, now following lunch, Daniel gave us a tour of the whole mission. Showed us where the men slept, and showed us the free clinics. There's a free clinic for dentistry and also for eyeglasses, and then took us to the chapel and proceeded to tell us his story. And he had quite the story. When you looked at Daniel, you just knew that this is a guy you never want to see on the street ever. I mean, he had tattoos all over, had a shirt on, but he said, there's tattoos all over my body. And you just had to look that this is not a guy you want to meet ever, ever, anywhere. But at the mission, he was a totally different type type of person. When he was talking to us, he was a different person. And he had been a leader of a gang, and he had done a lot of robberies and break-ins early on in life. And he just said, this is what we did, you know. I mean, if I saw something I wanted, I just took it. It didn't bother me at all who I took it from, or it wasn't. I was tough. That's how I grew up. I grew up in a situation where if you were going to be a man, you had to be tough. You just had to do stuff. You couldn't show any weakness, and you sure could not ever cry. Men don't cry, they're just tough. He said that's the way he lived. And then one day he came home, he and his wife and kids came home, and their house was wild. You know, everything was taken away. And Dan said, hey, it's like they took a part of me. Who are these people that stole from me? And his wife said, well, you do the exact same thing, don't you? So he said, okay, I'll never steal, I'll never burglarize another house again, ever. So he just switched and went to drugs, you know. He distributed drugs, and he sold drugs, and he was a huge success, he said. He had a fancy car, everything was going well, except for the fact that he lost his wife, and he lost his kids. He lost everything that was really important to him. But the drugs, he was an important guy. He was still the tough guy. And while he was talking to us, he switched over. He said, I'll show you what it was like. And he switched over and he got in one of our youth space and he just did exactly what he used to do on the streets. It was kind of scary. This guy was a scary guy. And then he just turned it off and said, but I'm not that guy anymore. And I think this is like the third time, or second or third time he's trying to turn his life around. Nothing in our culture is helping these guys turn their lives around. Everything is against them. Everything. The way they grew up, the way society treats poor and homeless and criminals. We just say they're a problem. We never actually talk to them and figure out what their life is about. If they want to turn around, how can we help you? So this is like a second or third time of trying to turn his life around. He's sure he's got it down this time. But like he says, the only thing that's keeping him is his addiction to Jesus Christ. And he uses that kind of phrase. I'm addicted to Christ. I can't, if I lose that, I can't do what I'm doing without Christ. And it was incredible. During these days, people would just stop and say, okay, we're going to pray now. It didn't matter where you were or what you were doing. Okay, we got to pray for a little bit. And they would just break out in prayer all the time. It was kind of an amazing thing. They showed us what faith is really like. So, let's see where I'm way on my notes already. So he told us all these things, and he said to the kids, keep doing what you're doing. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep being good kids, keep going to school, keep doing these mission projects, keep believing in Jesus Christ. But that's the thing that's going to save you. He said, that's the only thing that's saving me. So where am I? So at the end, he said, he just kept talking like that. One day, in our daily devotions, we were to write a word on our hands, and I wrote the word hope because it fit for in Knuckles, H-O-P-E. And hope is what these guys are living on. They're just living on hope that this time they can make it through. This time they'll be okay. This time they'll hang with Jesus forever. That's their hope. And that's all they have to hang into. And it's pretty amazing stuff. So I think that's the end of my little story. I got one little other piece. We would give people nuggets. We would have these little lunch bags in the main place. And every day there was like mail bags. So you could have little nugget things that you could write to anybody you wanted to. So I wrote some nuggets to our kids and to the people that we were working with every day. And I wrote one nugget. We went on Monday, we went up to Lookout Mountain to the mountains and stuff. So the next morning at like 4 o'clock, I had this crazy, I thought, oh, this is going to be an awesome note. So I wrote this note, and I want to see if you guys, if anybody understands this note. This is the note I sent. I put their name on it. So you're just asking, does anybody have any idea what this note might say? Anybody at all? Yes.
That wasn't on
I
the...
think it says, Mark,
Yes?
have a happy Tuesday in the Rockies.
Yeah. All right.
Oh,
there you go. There you go.
Did you tell him? Did you tell him about it?
There you go. That's exactly what it says.
I
Very
think the
good.
picture of the songs are better than the ones that we had.
Yes, the other ones were stars.
The ones that we had were just like scribbled circles.
Complain. Well, thank you. Glad somebody understood that.
You guys all need to come up.
So we're you can see, here I am to worship.
So the words are in your bulletin, and if you guys want to, let's stand for this, because this is kind of a cool one. Hopefully it'll- Starting it over.
Step down into darkness, open my eyes, let me see beauty that made his heart adore you, hope of a life spent with you. Here I am to worship, here I am to bow down, here I am to say that you're my God. You're altogether lovely, altogether worthy, altogether wonderful to me. King of all hail, so highly exalted, glorious in heaven above. Humbly you came to the earth you created, all for love's sake became poor. Here I am to worship, here I am to bow down, here I am to say that you're my God. You're altogether lovely, altogether worthy, altogether wonderful to me. I'll never know how much it costs to see my sin upon that cross. I'll never know how much it costs to see my sin upon that cross. I'll never know how much it costs to see my sin upon that cross. I'll never know how much it costs to see my sin upon that cross. Here I am to worship, here I am to bow down, here I am to say that you're my God. You're altogether lovely, altogether worthy, altogether wonderful to me. Here I am to worship, here I am to bow down, here I am to say that you're my God. You're altogether lovely, altogether worthy, altogether wonderful to me. Here I am to worship, here I am to bow down, here I am to say that you're my God. You're altogether lovely, altogether worthy, altogether wonderful to me. Please be seated.
got here at 7:30 and we loaded up the van and we headed up Nevada. And it was a long, long ride. We were all really sore and just wanted to get out. And we got to Nevada. Nebraska.
That would have been a long ride.
Yes. And we got a tour of Pastor Tim's church, and we just kind of relaxed for a while, and then he took us to see the dam at Givens Point, and it's where the Missouri River was flooding, so they were releasing water out. And it was really cool to see. Everyone got really close to the water and was getting splashed, and then we had to ride back to the church with them. They stunk. And Pastor Tim bought us ice cream at a little shop nearby in South Dakota. And then we stayed at his church, and it was really nice.
Do you have a high from the week?
A high from the week was probably just meeting all the people and hearing their stories and what they've done to help us.
But I say to you that listen, love your enemies, do good to those who hate you, bless those who curse you, pray for those who abuse you. If anyone strikes you on the cheek, offer the other also. And from anyone who takes away your coat, do not withhold even your shirt. Give to everyone who begs from you. And if anyone takes away your goods, do not ask for them again. Do to others as you would have them do to you. If you love those who love you, what credit is that to you? For even sinners love those who love them. If you do good to those who do good to you, what credit is that to you? For even sinners do the same. If you lend to those from whom you hope to receive, what credit is that to you? Even sinners lend to sinners, to receive as much again. But love your enemies, do good, and lend, expecting nothing in return. Your reward will be great, and you will be children of the Most High. For he is kind in the ungrateful and in the wicked. Be merciful, just as your Father is merciful. On Sunday morning, we woke up around 6:30, packed our things, and loaded everything in the van. While we were busy doing that, Tim and Shelley were kindly making breakfast for us. Once we got done eating the delicious meal they provided, we said our goodbyes, prayers, and thank yous, and were off on the road again. We traveled 8 hours until we finally reached our destination. We all got out of the van very tired from the long ride and settled in for the week. Then we had club, which is a time to sing songs and pray about the day we experienced. We all made new friends and found out what we would be doing for work assignments for the upcoming week. Then we all went to bed ready for Monday. My high would probably be just getting the experience to go down there and help the community.
You can stand here. Come on back up.
Yeah. The songs that you're hearing or that we're singing are ones that we sang during club every night. So we all got to learn these pretty good. Sorry.
Okay.
All right.
You are beautiful, my sweet, sweet song. You are beautiful, my sweet, sweet song. You are beautiful, my sweet, sweet song. You are the Spirit inside me. You are my Jesus who loves me.
So our first day there, Monday, every morning we had like a half an hour to 45 minutes to do a devotion time. And we got like these devotion books at the beginning, and each day had different pages for us to read and verses from the Bible for us to look through and then reflect on. And our theme for our first day Monday was Believe Different. And in our book, it told us believe is to have confidence in the existence or the reliability of something, although without absolute proof that one is right in doing so. And then the verse it had us read was from John. And it said, although Thomas, the twin, was one of the 12 disciples, he wasn't with the others when Jesus separated to them. So they told him, we have seen the Lord. But Thomas said, first I must see the nail scars in his hands and touch them with my finger. I must put my hand where the spear went into his side. I won't believe unless I do this. A week later, the disciples were together again. This time, Thomas was with them. Jesus came in while the doors were still locked and stood in the middle of the group. He gathered his disciples and said to Thomas, put your finger here and look at my hands. Put your hand into my side. Stop doubting and have faith. Thomas replied, you are my Lord and my God. Jesus said, Thomas, do good, you have faith because you have seen me. The people who have faith in me without seeing me are the ones who are really blessed. And this just kind of taught us, and we talked about it with one of the group leaders, Matt's later in club, that you don't always have to see to believe. And my group for the week, my work group was Katie, Allison, Laura, Tina, and then we had 4 or 5 people from an Indianapolis group. And our first day we went and we did Adopt a Block, and that was what Pastor Mark was talking about before, that John and his son had started. And the first day we did some lawns, and then we actually ended up weeding a lawn for somebody who used to be big into drugs, and John and his son went in and they like helped him through it, and he's getting better with it. And he actually went to church the night they got him to go to church for like the first time in a really long time after we worked there that night, and he was like interested in going. And then that night for club, it was a little different. We actually got to go out to Lookout Mountain, and we sang and took group pictures and everything up there. And so that was fun. And that was actually probably my high for the week, was being up in the mountains with everybody, like all of my friends.
Is not this the fast I choose, to loose the bonds of injustice, to undo the thongs of yoke, to let the oppressed go free, and to break every yoke? Is it not to share your bread with the hungry, and bring the homeless poor into your house, when you see the naked, to cover them, and not to hide yourself from your own kin? Then your light shall break forth like the dawn, and your healing shall spring up quickly. Your vindicator shall go before you. The glory of the Lord shall be your rear guard. Then you shall call, and the Lord will answer. You shall cry for help, and he will say, here I am. If you remove the yoke from among you, the pointing of the finger, the speaking of the evil, if you offer your food to the hungry and satisfy the needs of the afflicted, then your light shall rise in the darkness, and your gloom be like the noonday. The Lord will guide you continually and satisfy your needs in parched places and make your bones strong. And you shall be like a watered garden, like a spring of water whose water never fails. Your ancient ruins shall be rebuilt. You shall raise up to the foundations of many generations, and you shall be called the repairer of the breach and the restorer of streets to live in. So Tuesday, the devotion time, it was act different, and it was just basically trying to get across that you shouldn't follow the crowd. You should be your own person and do your own things, and just kind of be an individual. And so we got 30 minutes on Tuesday, I believe, for Devo time. Then we did all of our daily stuff that we did every day, and then so we went off and headed to our work site. And that day we were going to adopt a block. And like Pastor Mark said, we went to a part of town that he was told never to be in. And we met John and one of the mini Marks that we would meet over the week. And so we kind of just sat down at a local park for about 30 minutes and talked, and we did a daily prayer just to make sure that everyone was safe. And so we started off with, John told us to go and clean up one street. So we did that, and like he told us to watch out for needles and all this other stuff that could be dangerous to us, because that's common in that area. And then after that, we went to one house where we kind of just needed to tidy up the place. So we started off with picking weeds and all that, and we had to, the kids there came out, and they were the only ones that spoke English, so to communicate to the, like, mom or dad, we had to talk through the kids, basically. And so that was kind of interesting. And then, so we did that up until lunch. And lunch, that was an interesting experience, because one of the Marks that we met, he had brought along a jalapeno. And this was the first time that I tried a jalapeno pepper. And long story short, I ended up vomiting. And but I was able to keep on working. And what was that day? Like 90 degrees out. That was a hot day. So we went to our, this one house that, like, it didn't seem like it needed really much help. It was the biggest house on the block, the nicest, but just to help out, like, the neighborhood, we ended up helping out the guy clean up his yard and just, like, take down tree branches that were hanging over and mow a little. And, like, the next day we ended up actually mowing across the street to make just that area look a little nicer, and possibly making a few fire ants mad. So, and I guess that's, and then also later that night during club, John he came to talk to us, and he also came with Matthew and Mark, and Matthew talked about how John saved him. He was a crack addict, and he had relapsed many times before, and his wife was also addict to some drugs, and I guess John kind of helped him get out of that situation a little, and it was kind of interesting hearing all the stories about people that have been addicted to drugs, and they were basically saved by people that were just trying to help out the community. And I guess my high for the week was just meeting all the cool people that we did see in Denver, Colorado, and also the whitewater rafting. That was pretty fun.
Matthew chapter 18, 21 through 35. Then Peter came and said to him, Lord, if another member of the church sins against me, how often should I forgive them? As many as 7 times? Jesus said to him, "Not 7 times, but I tell you, 77 times. For this reason, the kingdom of heaven may be compared to a king who wished to settle accounts with his slaves. When he became the reckoning of one who owed him 10,000 talents was brought to him. And as he could not pay, his Lord ordered him to be sold, together with his wife and children, and all his possessions, and payment to be made. So the slave fell on his knees before him, saying, 'Have patience with me, and I will pay everything.' And out of pity for him, the Lord of that slave released him and forgave him the debt. But the same slave, as he went out, came upon one of his fellow slaves who owed him 100 denarii, and seizing him by the throat, he said, 'Pay what you owe.' Then his fellow slave fell down and pleaded with him, 'Have patience with me, and I will pay you.' But he refused. Then he went and threw him into the prison until he would pay the debt. When his fellow slaves saw what had happened, they were greatly distressed, and they went and reported to the Lord that all that had taken place. Then his Lord summoned him and said to him, 'You wicked slave, I forgave you all the debt because you pleaded with me. Should you have not had mercy on your fellow slave, as I had mercy on you?' And in anger, his Lord handed him over to be tortured until he would pay his entire debt. So Heavenly Father will also do to every one of you if you do not forgive your brother and sister from your heart." On Wednesday, we also did the block cleanup, and we helped Pastor John clean up the neighborhood, and we also did like the same thing. We cleaned up lawns, picked weeds, mowed lawns, did all that fun stuff. And Wednesday night we went to a hip-hop church. It was kind of a fun experience. At the beginning of the church service, it was kind of more like, kind of hip-hoppy, not really like preaching. But then towards the end of the service, it was kind of like everybody had a story to tell, and they told about their experiences, and we sung a lot of songs, and we had this really fun thing called "Who's Prop" or "What Prop Is It Anyways?" And one person from our group, Alicia, which I don't think she's here, it was really funny. She could not think of what to make with these. They kind of look like jalapenos with little like feathers on them, and she could not figure out what to do with them for the life of her. It was really funny.
Where's our Salvation Army group? Yeah, come on up. You guys are gonna. So, well, you all can come up because you guys all know it, right? So the Salvation Army. You didn't see very many pictures of one of our groups because they spent the entire week at the Salvation Army, and I think Alexander's going to talk a little bit about that. But because the kids are protected that go there, they couldn't take pictures. But they taught the kids kind of a little song. So are we doing the rafting one? Oh, you're doing the other one. Okay, well. So they thought they would show this to you. It actually goes to the song 500 Miles, so we don't have the song, but we'll do the first part of it, right?
Wait, we don't have a song.
Well, we got the first part.
We can sing this
You
song.
can lead it out.
I can't.
Okay, girls.
Okay. Ski, 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 tree, 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 swim, 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 hit your head on the wall, lasso, 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 yee-haw, arf, 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 ooh.
There you go. That was good.
Jesus loves me, or
Yeah.
so sing Jesus loves me. 595.
Alright, on Thursday our theme was Love Different, so we learned about the Bible verse John 15, 1 through 7. Now before the festival of the Passover, Jesus knew that his hour had come to depart from this world and go to the Father. Having loved his own who were in the world, he loved them to the end. The devil already put it into the heart of Judas, son of Simon Iscariot, to betray him. And during supper, Jesus, knowing that the Father had given all things to his hands, and that he had come from God, and was going to God, got up from the table, took off his outer robe, and tied a towel around himself. Then he poured water into a basin, and began to wash the disciples' feet, and to wipe them with a towel that was tied around him. He came to Simon Peter, who said to him, "Lord, are you going to wash my feet?" Jesus answered, "You do not know now what I am doing, but later you will understand." Peter said to him, "You will never wash my feet." Jesus answered, "Unless I wash you, you have no share with me." Simon Peter said to him, "Lord, not my feet only, but also my hands and my head." Jesus said to him, "One who has bathed does not need to wash, except for the feet, but is entirely clean. And you are clean, though not all of you." For he knew who was to betray him, and for this reason he said, "Not all of you are clean." After he had washed their feet, had put on his robe, and had returned to the table, he said to them, "Do you know what I have done to you? You call me teacher and Lord, and you are right, for that is what I am. So if I, your Lord and teacher, have washed your feet, you also ought to wash one another's feet. For I have set you an example, that you also should do as I have done to you. Very truly, I tell you, servants are not greater than their master, nor are messengers greater than the one who sent them. If you know these things, you are blessed if you do them." So Thursday we were talking about loving differently. So some of us were still at the Salvation Army, some of us went back to Food Works, and some of us went to a nursing home. And the nursing home we went to, everyone there had some kind of a brain injury, and most of them were older people with dementia. So some of the stories you could listen to and know that they were real, and other ones you knew they weren't. A couple of people who went the day before, and one was married to President Eisenhower, and one knew John Wayne. So some of the stories you could know. But the day that we were there, some of us got to set up for a party, or just go around and talk, and then we got to do exercises with them. And Pastor Mark got very tired by the end we were done. He even took one of the chairs when we were done. Playing ball with them was too much for him, I guess. But so we went around and just did different things. Like one of the exercises was boxing, and one of the really ladies got really into it. She even started talking in Spanish to us. So we just got to do things like that, and then we got to talk about what we liked about 4th of July with them, and just knowing some of their stories. Then they went off to lunch, so then we went off to lunch and went to a little park. And then when we came back, some of us went and we played hangman with them, which they're very good at. The one time they even had no wrong letters at all. The one lady, we had asked for if anyone had any new lines to put up on the board, so she gave us one and we put it up, but then she started guessing all the letters herself, and then yelled out the answer by the time we got to the end. So that was kind of the end of hangman. And then we took them back in for a birthday party because it was someone's birthday, and then we just got to talk with them. And a lot of people just went around to different rooms that everyone was in and got to listen to some of their stories, even if they were true or not. But then when we came back, we were supposed to go out to another park and have a picnic, but then there was severe storms all around us, so we couldn't really go anywhere, so we just played games and had our own little cookout there and kind of smoked up the whole kitchen, because you couldn't go in there for a while. But then at that night, we talked about the washing of the feet, and we actually did this in our own groups. The youth work leaders washed our leaders' feet, and then they washed ours. So that was a time to really think about what had gone on throughout the week. And then we went up and talked in our own little personal groups. And a lot of people had a hard time because they were with kids all week. So think Alexander kind of wants to talk about their experience. They spent it with kids that were like between 5 and 11 years old all week. So they got to have fun with them and kind of had a lot of friendship with them.
My group went to Salvation Army all week, and when we went there, first we had to sign contracts to work with the kids because a lot of them are going through foster care or in the process of being adopted. They range from ages 8 to 11, I think it was. I worked with the middle-aged group, and all these kids were just so sweet. And on Thursday, the Salvation Army had promised to take them swimming, but they didn't have enough money by Thursday to take all the kids swimming. So we paid $100 to take, I think it was 40 of the kids who went there for summer school swimming. And Thursday was the last day, and we'd come very attached to these kids. They were all so sweet. We were the only group that didn't switch and go different places every day because Salvation Army asked us to stay all week so that we could get to know these kids. And they really just wanted to just give you all their love, and it was so sweet and so sad by Thursday because at the pool, it was we had to say goodbye there, before they went in the locker room, but a lot of the kids had already gone through, so we literally ran through the locker room to meet them on the other side to say goodbye before they got in their vans to go back. And I was very close with a kid named Jordan. By the end of the week, he actually said that he called me his sister. He said he always wanted a sister. And we had a secret handshake, and he asked me, next time you come back, can we do the same thing? And I was like, I don't know when I'm coming back, Jordan. And he's like, oh, is it Thursday? Because every week it happens to them again, and you just get attached, and you just have to say goodbye, and it's really, really sad. So then we were on our way back, and we stayed an extra hour at the pool with them, which helped Salvation Army too, because they had 3 adults there with the kids, and a lot of those kids didn't know how to swim, so it was good that we were there with them. Then on our way back, most of us were crying in our van on the way back, and then we got stuck in traffic for an hour and a half, still crying. By the end we were laughing, and then we got back and washed our feet, cried again. So it was just really an emotional day on Thursday, and it was really sad to see all those kids go, but we were glad that we got to help them.
Hi, I'm Mackenzie Sadler. Most of my week was already talked about because Don and Pastor Mark and Keevan and Brandon were all in my group, and they basically talked about everything. But I'll just do my high. My high for the week was just making 70 new friends. Everyone there was so nice. They were, then just seeing the people, mostly at the homeless shelter, that were so, their faith was so strong, and they were in such a low place in their life. And it just really touched me because there are people around here, and there are people in the world that they have everything they've ever wanted, but they don't have God. So I just think it was really touching that they all were so hopeful and faithful in their life.
Do sanctuary. Can I get a couple of ushers? Just pass it. Go ahead. We'll just sing Sanctuary over and over again as we're doing the offering. So you can just go ahead. Maybe.
Lord, be a sanctuary, pure and holy, tried and true, with thanksgiving. I'll be a living sanctuary for you. Lord, prepare me. Lord, prepare me to be a sanctuary, pure and holy, tried and true, with thanksgiving. I'll be a living sanctuary for you. Lord, prepare me to be a sanctuary, pure and holy, tried and true, with thanksgiving. I'll be a living
All right, Pastor Mark's got to take all this stuff going, so I get to end all of this, but we're not done yet. So right now, I'd like you to stand and join me in prayer if you're able. Let us pray. Dear Lord, thank you so much for this wonderful week that we had in Denver. On the way out, on the way back, it was an awesome time for all of us. I think every single one of our lives were changed by what we were able to do while we were there. Lord, in your mercy, hear our prayer. Dear Lord, please be with the families of Leona Runhag and Ruth Erickson as they mourn the loss of their loved one. Please watch over them over the next coming days as they prepare to say goodbye and know that your love is always with them. Lord, in your mercy,
Hear our prayer.
we also want to thank you for the wedding of Richard and Jessica Salsa yesterday. They started a new life together as a couple, and we know that you will watch over them for the years to come and have a happy marriage and family, and it's a wonderful time for them and their families. Lord, in your mercy. We also want to pray for Cynthia Burnside and Monica Jensen as they go through their treatments with their doctors and their nurses. Please watch over them and rest your healing hand upon them. We also want to rest your healing hand upon all of those that are in our prayers listed in our bulletin. Lord, in your mercy.
Hear our prayer.
At this time, we'd also like to extend prayers for those that are in our hearts or on our minds, either out loud or in our hearts. Dear Lord, as we go from this place today, we want our hearts and our hands to be open to do the work that you have asked us to do. Take what these young people have told us their experiences are and see where we can do this in our own communities. Lord, in your mercy.
Hear our prayer.
Now as you taught your disciples to pray, so teach us to pray. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Please be seated for our return home from Denver.
So on Friday, our devotion was about return different, where it was just talking about how we could be different, believe different, act different, and love different when we came home. And the verse that was given to us was John 21:15-19, which says, "When they had finished breakfast, Jesus said to Simon Peter, 'Simon, son of God, do you love me more than these?' He said to him, 'Yes, Lord, you know that I love you.' Jesus said to him, 'Feed my lambs.' A second time he said to him, 'Simon, son of God, do you love me?' He said to him, 'Yes, Lord, you know that I love you.' Jesus said to him, 'Tend my sheep.' He said to him a third time, 'Simon, son of John, do you love me?' Peter felt hurt because he said to him a third time, 'Do you love me?' And he said to him, 'Lord, you know everything. You know that I love you.' Jesus said to him, 'Feed my sheep. Very truly I tell you, when you were younger, you used to fasten your own belt to go wherever you wish. But when you grow old, you will stretch out your hands, and someone else will fasten a belt around you and take you where you do not wish to go.' He said this to indicate the kind of death in which he would glorify God. After this, he said to him, 'Follow me.'" And then, after we did devotions, we had to say goodbye to all the people we had met that week, everybody in our groups. And then we got in our van and drove a half hour through the mountains to Idaho Springs. And then we spent a little time in Idaho Springs, and it's like a tourist town, so we got to go through all the little shops and buy things. And then, my favorite part, we got to go whitewater rafting on Clearwater Creek. And we only had one swimmer, and that was Marcia, and she called at the end, so that was okay. But the water was 37 degrees, so we had to wear wetsuits and splash jackets and helmets and stuff. But that was my favorite part of the trip.
My name's Dylan. After we went whitewater rafting, we stopped in
Ogallala.
Yeah. At a hotel, just to get more rest before we went out and continued our drive home. Next morning we woke up really early, a lot of tired people. We slept a lot of the way back, but after that, it's just 12 hours of flat cornfields. And it didn't get much more exciting than that on the way back. Other than towards the last hour, we were all so tired and excited to be back that we started getting more and more crazy. And that's about it for the last day back.
What was your high of the week?
My high of the week. Oh, there's so many. Getting to work at Salvation Army and meet all those kids.
Hannah, did you want to talk? Did you want to talk?
Hi, I'm Hannah. What am I supposed to say? Just my high. Okay. My high for the week was just working with all the kids from the Salvation Army. And because they were like, some of them were going through like really hard times, so they like told you like what they did in their life, and you just like wanted to, well, I wanted to take someone home with me. I met this little boy, his name is Malik. He was 6 years old, and he, if I was like standing in a crowd of 50 people, he could find my face in less than 10 seconds, because he just like knew me that well, and he, I don't know, we were like really good friends, and I cried the whole way home because we had to say goodbye. And then at the pool, when I had to say goodbye, he saw me crying, and then he started to cry. I don't know, it was just really emotional for me. Yeah. Oh, and my favorite part of whitewater rafting was I got to be the princess with Mackenzie Sattler. I mean, we didn't have to paddle because we didn't want to. So instead I took pictures.
Tina, did you want to talk?
All right, well, there was a couple of our youth that ended up not being able to be here today because they have to work. I mean, they got to take that week off, but then they had to come back and start working. So they too have got stories like these guys. It was very emotional, and I know I've talked to a few of you since we've been back, and I'll tell you, when I got back to work on Tuesday morning, it was so hard for me to go back to corporate America. The week that we had, I can't look at my mom, she's already crying. The week that we had was just so amazing. We've got 17 adults and kids, and actually I consider all these guys adults because they are just amazing. They all were split up into different groups. I never once heard anybody complain about what they were doing. I mean, for almost 2 days, we picked weeds out of yards, and they made fun. They had lots of fun. They made friends with the Indianapolis group and the Rockford and the Peoria group, and just it was just amazing stuff that happened. And you know, Pastor Mark touched on John and his son, and Brandon Keevan talked about William, who came and spoke with us. And I'll tell you, not once during that whole week did I ever feel like we were in danger. I mean, it does sound scary, the people that we were working with and, you know, working for, but not once did I feel like we were in danger at all. John never put us in danger. I think Marlis and I talked, it felt like we had a bubble over us because we were there to do God's work. The other thing that was amazing is you saw the pictures from Lookout Mountain, and we had our club night there. That was kind of our worship time, and we worshiped every day. We had devos in the morning, and then we had club at night where we sat and we talked about just what was going on through the day and different Bible verses. And we had, basically it was like Sermon on the Mount because that was Lookout Mountain, and it was beautiful. So we weren't in a building worshiping, we were outside worshiping, and it didn't matter where we were at. Tina's group on Monday, I think they did the Adopt a Block. And at one point, they were helping an elderly woman with her house, and Tina and John went up on the porch and prayed with her. And I talked to Tina later, and Tina said it wasn't prayer for her, it was prayer for us. I mean, it's just amazing how much we helped, but how much we were helped. It's just, you know, I could talk for 2 hours about the different experiences that we had, and I think a lot of these kids probably would do the same thing. So if you ever had an opportunity to talk to these guys one-on-one or out in the street or whatever, it's like, you know, stop them and ask them, you know, what it was like, because I wish we could have taken you all along with us. As adults, I think we don't see what our youth see, and being able to do that week with them was just amazing. I mean, Kokomo was great last year, but Denver was just, it just took us to a different level. And I was very touched by both William and Danny. And at one point I got a chance to talk to both of them one-on-one, and William was the drug addict with his wife that John had saved. And he said after he talked with the group, he said, I just touched the surface on my life. He said, I could have talked to you all for like 3 hours. He said, and I'm okay with doing that because God is with me. And I think Mackenzie was the one who said, you know, people have so much but they're not happy because they don't have God in their lives, and these people have nothing. I mean, they have absolutely nothing, and they are so full because they have God. And it was just amazing to see that. And then, you know, the group that we took this year, all but I think 3 were there from Kokomo last year, so they kind of knew how things work, but I think every single one of them had a different experience. And it was awesome. These guys are a great group of kids, and I can see that they will all do awesome things now and as adults. So it's kind of, I'm like, this is just, I'm so fortunate. And I thank our congregations for supporting us to be able to go on things like this. And truly, in a couple of years, I think when we want to do another one, as adults, if you guys want to go with us, we'll have you, because it's an amazing opportunity. So with that, I think we will close with our sending hymn, which is Yesu, Yesu, fill us with your love, hymn 708. Please rise.